Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2. For part 2, I just wanted to go through and finish painting this up a bit and kind of show how to take it to final level. So we're just going to go through here really quick and start highlighting some different edges. This is on another layer too, so it's kind of easy to just get in there. And I want to pull in some different areas and just bring in some more beveled highlights. So this would be ideal for, if you're creating some assets or props or whatever for your game or for concept art, etc. You could use this for lots of different things. It could be a concept art, or you could, if you had an isometric game you're working on, you could just use these pieces directly in there, however you want to take them, or whatever direction you want to take them in. And I'm just going to go through and add some more cracks, add some more highlights, maybe get a little bit of some overgrown areas and things like that. Right now I'm just focusing on those beveled joints. These are really important for your work to really kind of look like it has a lot more dimension to it. I feel like a beveled edge adds a lot to a piece. So we're going to go in here and I'm going to start basically doing kind of an ambient occlusion. An ambient occlusion, if you're not familiar with it, is kind of the shadows that get trapped between objects. So if you put your fingers together, and you'll notice there's like that, just a little bit of shadow there. That's a good example of ambient occlusion. That's kind of these darker areas. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a highlight on here. You'll notice too, a lot of what I'm doing is just kind of painting over the lines that I have already here. And I want this to be more of a painted piece and less of a line work reliant piece. And a good way to test like how you're coming along if you're doing that is just to turn your lines on and off. You can see when I turn them on, I'm losing a lot of my information. You don't have to have everything painted over, but it's good to get it to a point where it's not as reliant on the line work. And I'm just pulling out some information here too for the this front piece here as well, to give it a little bit more dimension, because it was looking a little bit flat just because I used that trick of just taking an object, taking a shape in the last episode, and just stretching it out and placing it in like that. Now I might want to add just a little more detail as far as patterning and stuff along the interior of here. And we have kind of a good example of what it's already looking like. So I'm just kind of running a few extra lines just to give a little bit extra to it. And you see this is kind of, when I remove that line work, it's kind of losing some of its dimension. So maybe I'll try putting some darker light behind that, maybe brighten this up a little bit, just pull it forward a little bit more bright light, just to kind of clarify it a bit. This will help your, if you have a 3D model or something that's going to be working off your concept, you want to make sure that everything's nice and clear, all the planes are clear. Sometimes it might not be the correct lighting exactly, but if you fake a little bit, sometimes it'll look better just to get a clearer view. A lot of times that's more important than exactly perfect lighting. Okay, gotta turn my opacity back up on my brush. Now that I have that, I'm gonna start adding in some more cracks and kind of dots and textures and things like that, just to kind of start giving a little bit more of a stone feel. And you could take a texture and apply it over the whole object, and that actually might be a good step to take at this point. So we're going to go in and I'm going to grab just like a nice stone texture here, and I just have to pull this up. Let's find a nice stone texture. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to grab this sort of rocky stone texture, and I'm control clicking and selecting my primary kind of back area of coloring, this piece back here. And once I have that selected, you see the silhouette, and I'm going to turn this on, and I'm just going to click on create a mask on that. I'm going to switch the layers on here to soft light. See how that looks. a little bit too much. I'm actually gonna tone it down just a little bit. And I'm gonna plop this into a group by hitting Control G. And I'm actually gonna put a mask on the group as well. I'm gonna switch to black, and I'm gonna just put this to about 30% maybe. I'm gonna drag a gradient across this just to kind of have a gradient down like that. Okay, there we go. And now I want to add a little bit of kind of like a hint of maybe moss and stuff like that growing over top of this. So I'm gonna go up here, we're gonna grab green color and start just kind of painting along in these cracks and crevices and things like that. Just to kind of give it that little bit of a, like something's growing in there, maybe some lichen and stuff like that. And you could take this next level if you want and have like mushrooms growing off of it and things like that. But I just kind of want to just have a little bit of splattering of grass and things like that. Or more of a moss. Grass is probably the wrong word, but more moss. So I'm gonna go into kind of a, there we go, this nice green color, and just kind of splatter that along here. And you could use a splatter brush for this. That would probably be a little faster, but I just kind of want to hand paint a few little splotches here and there along the sides, a little bit in the front. This really helps break up a lot of that just solid block of stone as well. Has a nice, starting to get a nice in nature feel. It's been sitting out for a long time, wearing away. It's starting to look like, you know, maybe it's not such a new stone. Even on top of that, you know, it has the cracks and stuff on it, but just to push those details further, and push the saturation up and the darkness down a little bit, kind of just get some variation of color here. Yeah, that's a nice color. Same with this, make it a little darker, a little more green. I'm gonna push the front bit into a little more into the red areas, and splotch around here. And we're gonna have a little kind of coming up underneath here and sort of following in the cracks and just over, kind of growing over the cracks just a little bit. I didn't mean to bring the brush up there. And just a little bit more. It's coming along pretty nicely. I'm gonna slide this into yellows just a bit, a little bit brighter. Let's have a few highlights of green in there. And I'm gonna jump onto another layer really quick. You don't have to have another layer for this, and I just want to add a little bit of grass. We're gonna go into the kind of more of a blue spectrum for the grass here. Maybe that's a bit too blue, so we're gonna hit Control U. And we're just gonna slide through the color here. Maybe we want even more blue. It could be like that kind of, it's like a spooky bluegrass. I can actually like that bluegrass right here. Bluegrass. I always make myself laugh when I say that. So let's pull a few sprouts of this out. I'm actually going to grab a darker variant of this and a little more green, and just have a few little sprigs of grass popping over here. Same with here, kind of mix in some grass that's in shadow. That gives it a nice little presentation. And one more layer just on top here. Start painting out a few more details, a few more things. Maybe I'll bring in some more darks along here. I'm trying to get like a bit of a gradient from dark to light. So you'll notice a little lighter on top, a little darker on the bottom. And if you really want to push that, we could go here, make a selection of the entire object, create a new layer, and go to either like multiply or overlay. Just grab the color and do just a gradient up a little bit more. You know, we're going to turn that down just a bit. It's a bit too much. And I'm creating a lot of new layers here, but I kind of just, this is sort of the tweaking phase. I can flatten this all down when I'm done and near the finished product. Just put another layer on top of that. Just paint a little bit more. Let's get rid of some of this line work up here. Kind of break up this edge a bit. Clean up these back edges just a little bit here. And you could take this as far as you want to. I mean, you can keep pushing it as much as you need. Maybe we'll do a little experiment here. Maybe we'll have like a segmentation line. Just add a little extra. and just have this run all the way along here. This might look kind of cool. And then with this, we can sort of break it up a little bit. Maybe the light, since the lights come back from sort of over here a little bit, we can hit some highlights in a few spots, like right here. Drop this down as well, and just hit some highlight in the back here. Honestly, it would probably make more sense to have the light coming from the front, since we're trying to kind of detail or present this prop in a clear manner. So from that perspective, I would say this isn't as successful, but other than that, it's all right. Just a few more little dots and such. Maybe this line down here is not as visible. I want to push that forward a little bit more. So just a few little things to kind of keep pushing the object, keep rendering it a little bit. And as I said before about the ambient occlusion, we could do another layer for that and even push it even further, put it to multiply, and then grab like a really soft brush and just make it pretty small and just push it right in these cracks here. This might be a little bit too intense, so I'm just going to take that, turn it down a little bit. Maybe I'll actually try turning that to like 50%, and then I'm going to make my brush even smaller and put the brush to about 50% as well. It gives me a little more room for kind of overlaying a few different levels of this. There we go. That's looking pretty good. It's pretty subtle changes, not too much there. And like if you're having a lot of layers like this, you know, just want to clean things up, you can just select everything by just clicking on your top layer and then your bottom layer, and hit Control G, we'll place that new layer. Sometimes while I'm working, I'll do that and I'll drag a new layer down and just flatten that with Control E and turn off my old one. So now this is just, now I'm just working on a single flat layer. And this is, you would decide to do this once you've gotten pretty far in your painting. You don't want to jump to this too soon in case you want to change, have some big edits or anything like that. But I know I'm not going to really change that much, and I want to do this so I can clean up these edges. This is kind of your final pass, and I can kind of break up some spots and really pull out, just really clean the object up, clean the painting up. I'm just going along this edge here. I'm going to paint over a little bit and just come back in and remove the excess. Same with this here. I'm just cleaning up these lines and working on the silhouette really. Almost done. And this looks a little odd back here. I'll hit that with a little bit of light. And now I can come in here for even more little extra details, start hitting like some of these cracks or these little pocks, little pock marks with a little bit of light too. And kind of just adding some general kind of stone texture and variation to it. And there's still a little bit of line work here. I want to get rid of a little bit more of that line work, so we're going to paint over that. This whole process to get to finish is just kind of a process of working all over the canvas. You just want to move all over the entire canvas and never really stop jumping around. That way you don't have any one particular area over rendered. And something to consider about that is if you have one area over rendered, it's not that that area is going to look too good. The problem is sometimes psychologically you might not have as easy of a time rendering all the other ones up to that level. So if you kind of work everything together, you'll never have one particular area that's just like stands out as being far better than the others, and you'll be like, oh, I can't get to that level. This way you're always moving everything all together at once, and it stands as a unified piece more so. Pull this forward just a little bit. Maybe I want this to actually be a little bit more raised, so I'm going to just thicken this a little. Really kind of pull it out so it's not as two-dimensional as it was. Now let's add a few little patterning details. Just a little bit there. Maybe pull A little bit of grass in here as well. And then just a little bit of a bevel on this. Maybe some little spots for the rock feeling, those little pocks and stuff. Those help a lot, creating this look of stone. Maybe we'll even break out a little bit of this so that even some of the silhouette on the ground areas would be breaking up a little bit too. And I'm trying to jump around a lot, like I said before. And see, that's pretty much it. I'm not really too happy with the color of the grass still though, so I'm gonna do a quick selection of that. Right here and here. I'm gonna hit Control H to hide the selection so it's not distracting, and Control U. And I'm just gonna slide the grass around. Maybe I will just go with kind of more of a standard grass color. I want it to be a little bit different than the moss. And you'll see some of the edges in here didn't get quite selected, so I'm just gonna go back and paint those in really quick. And do a little bit of a highlight in here. Yeah, I might just remove that grass and try painting that again. I'm just not very happy with it. And it's you know, if you're not happy with something this late in the project, don't stop yourself from changing it. Just change it. You know, just jump in there and redo it, repaint it. Sometimes it'll come out better, or you'll have a lot more like texture and layers to your painting and stuff like that. So it's never a bad thing to just jump in and redo it. I don't really think it wasn't really that relevant to the presentation of it. Though we could, you know, we could try it again really quick. Let's just maybe have it separate so it doesn't really interfere with the object. This gives it a little bit of place, I suppose. Yeah, it's kind of cute. And then just do a little bit of a highlight on it. Not too much. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So there's the isometric painting of a gravestone. And if you have any questions or anything, just let me know. Leave a comment below and let me know what your question is, or just say hello. I love hearing from everybody. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd like if you could subscribe and turn notifications on. That'd be great. And yeah, give it a like. That's also nice. Appreciation helps me create more of this work and everything like that. And it's really encouraging to have such a great response from everybody. And I really love having just people enjoying the videos. I'm glad it's helping people. That's kind of my goal, was to, you know, I've been online and I've used so many tutorials from other people, and I wanted to give back to the community. And that was kind of my main goal with starting these videos, and I'm really glad people are enjoying them. And yeah, I'll see you next time for another tutorial. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.